And when you listen to the audio of him at that Kamala presser, I mean, he does sound pretty sick or either on industrial doses of pseudoephedrine. But for heaven's sake, like, as if you can't see his face. We've all been sick at various points and come into work. We see today that he's cancelled a meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu, who is currently in the US. So it all adds to, why can't we see the guy? I mean, look, if he looks like death warmed up because he's got COVID, it's no different to the way he's looked for the last 3 or 4 years. He's looked like death warmed up for a long time. We saw him at the debate. I mean, he possibly couldn't look any worse than that. They, of course, have given him a spray tan since then to try and make him look more alive. But I tell you what, even with COVID and dropping out of the race, the abilities of Joe Biden are just extraordinary, because apparently while he was on a phone call to this presser, and look, I don't know about you, I've used a few phones in my life. I imagine you have as well. And generally the way it works, unless you're on FaceTime or something, in which case we would have been able to see Mr Biden's face. He's sitting there with phone to his ear, or he's on a conference call. You can't generally see people down the phone. Well, not Joe Biden. Have a look at this. He apparently can see what's going on, even though he's not on a video call.
Joe, are you watching? You hear this clapping? Can you see it?
I'm watching. I'm watching.
I knew it.
He's watching. I don't know. He may well be watching from heaven at this point. Actually, probably from hell, given it's Joe Biden. But the whole thing is such a farce.
It's parody.
Would you have ever thought that a sitting president would announce the fact that they're not running again via a post on X, not a press release that went out to the media, no embargoed message that not even his staff knew was coming? It just pops up on a social media platform, which is great for Elon Musk and X, because they can once again say, you know, where you get the news first, which is, of course, what Twitter was always about. But the whole thing, when you piece it together, you just got to go, what sort of timeline are we living in here?
Well, I mean, it's only how long since 9 days since the assassination attempt on Trump. So you've got Trump almost shot dead. You've got Joe Biden. We don't know if he's alive. I mean, it's just an extraordinary time.
He's probably hog-tied up
politics.
somewhere. Joe, don't you move! Don't move!
But I mean, even more extraordinary is Kamala Harris today telling the crowd that no president in US history has been able to do as much in 2 terms as Joe Biden has achieved in 1. And then she wondered why it didn't get much of a reaction from the crowd. She had to kind of generate an applause.
Joe Biden's legacy of accomplishment over the past 3 years is unmatched in modern history. In 1 term, he has already, yes, you may clap. In 1 term, he has already surpassed the legacy of most presidents who have served 2 terms in office.
Yeah, when you've got to force the applause, it ain't much of an applause.
There was one guy doing a golf clap and she's like, yes, keep going. Everyone join in.
Reminds us of another US presidential candidate, Jeb Bush, who had a similar problem.
I think the next president needs to be a lot quieter, but send a signal that we're prepared to act in the national security interests of this country, to get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
That wasn't an encouragement to clap. That was just a sigh of resignation.
Well, I need it. But and watching, you said we'll get to the weirdness of Kamala Harris. So let's go there. That clip of her saying, "We love you, Joe. We love you so much."
I mean, like family to us.
It's got all the sincerity of someone like, you know, you're telling your mother-in-law that you love her dearly and she's the best thing that's ever happened in your life. No, we all know you hate your mother-in-law. Right? It's just how things work. She is loving herself sick right now because all the pieces have fallen into place. I suspect she probably thought that the way she would get to the presidency is not via an election. It would have been via Joe Biden sneezing heavily and then, you know, his insides sort of coming out of all orifices, and that was the end of him, and that she would just sort of automatically ascend to the job that way. She probably didn't think it would come like this. But nevertheless, you know, you got this dopey woman who laughs at absolutely everything she says. I mean, she cracks herself up with her own jokes that aren't even jokes, and she is now, most likely, going to be the Democratic pick to run for president. She cannot believe her luck. She is the luckiest woman alive right now, except for the fact, of course, that she doesn't stand much of a chance of beating Joe Biden. But she'll be loving herself, beating Joe Biden, beating Donald Trump. She's already beaten Joe Biden. We saw that over the last few days. But she will be loving herself sick in the lead up to that
The
election.
woman that Trump aptly called, quote, dumb as a rock, end quote.